Happy Wednesday night, everyone. This is the Pandemic Proof Singer Series. I'm your host, Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, a vocal coach. I'm a lead singer with the mighty Untouchables band. I am also the recent host and producer of the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. We had one in November. We have another one coming up in May. It's a free 3-day virtual event for singers who are ready to break out of the starving artist mentality and learn what it takes to make a great living, build a lifelong career, and stay relevant as a musician. And registration hasn't opened yet, but if you want to get on the waiting list, you can just go to the Singer Summit and you'll be the first to know when registration opens. It's opening on April 28th, but get on the list and we'll automatically pop you in there. Now on to our show, the Pandemic Proof Singer Series. It's a weekly interview series about singers, for singers and musicians. We talk about moving forward in the midst of the pandemic and this industry shutdown. It's about community and lifting one another up and inspiring one another, and just talking about doing the hard things that we've had to do and enjoying a laugh or two. But let me introduce my guest tonight. He's so great. I know we're going to have a great conversation. I'm wondering if I'm going to giggle through the whole thing, but that's okay. That's okay. I have Jeff Berkley with me. He has been called a San Diego legend, and it's easy to understand why. His musical contributions include his work in current bands Berkley Hart and Berkley Hart Selis Twang, as well as previous bands like The Cry, the Redwoods, and Citizen Band. He is also known for his work with many musicians. He has produced in studios around the world, including his own. He's an amazing guitarist and percussionist with multiple acts. He's a great guy. Let me bring him right on. Hello.
Oh my God, we did it. Hi, how you doing?
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on the show. And it's so cool. I see myself on the set of the show, and I feel like I'm finally a star because I keep seeing your show all the time, and I love listening to the conversations, and this is so great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited because you and I have had the opportunity to work together a couple of times. We've been on a couple of shows together, and I enjoy you so much. You're so funny and fun to be around and incredibly talented. I love listening to you. And so I'm excited for us to have a little chat tonight.
Well, I feel the same. I mean, amazing vocalist. We've had a couple really fun shows for sure.
Yes.
One in the middle of the pandemic that was
That's right.
crazy,
Yeah.
but we were safe and nobody got sick.
Yeah.
So that's
And
good.
it was a highlight because I think it was that happened during a time when things were just super dull. You know,
Yeah.
we had been in it for so long and
Yeah.
there really wasn't quite light at the end of the tunnel at that point. And
No, we were
so
all just sort of floating in this weird sort of limbo,
Mhm.
thinking that there was a really solid chance that we might not get to play live gigs
Right.
in the same way again ever. I mean, even now there's some question as to what exactly the future looks like, and it's
Yeah.
a weird
It's
a
super
weird
weird.
thing. It's sort of the universe saying, "Okay, let's all just slow down for a
Yeah.
second and think about ourselves and our innermost feelings and fears and
Mhm.
learn to uh either live with them or fix them." It's been this sort of amazing time of inner sort of searching and figuring ourselves out. You just didn't have a choice. Our brains had us right where they wanted us. And so
Exactly.
we've all had this time of soul searching, and in the beginning of it, if you were a musician and there was ever any question as to whether or not you wanted to do that as your career,
Mhm.
the beginning of this pandemic was a good way to really decide
Yes.
whether
Yes.
you were in it or not. And
Yeah.
that's always a good thing to check out. But
Yeah. It
it's been an
was.
amazing time, and it did get boring for a while, but man, it also was great to have some time to just play guitar and write songs and not think
Mhm.
about much else for a while. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, tons of good things came out of it. Um, well, tell me what you were up to before things hit. Where were you at in your career? What were you doing, and how did the transition into this season work out for you?
Well, before COVID hit, I was making lots of records,
Mhm.
and having a blast doing that. I love working with artists to get their records materialize, whatever their vision is, and kind of crawl inside that music and get to know it and
Mm.
help them produce a thing. Uh, and I've been really lucky to be able to do that. And actually, that was a pretty because of the nature of the studio that I work out of. It's in the middle of an orchard and has open doors, and it's
Mhm.
lots of isolation. And it's very safe. So I was able to actually keep working out of the studio. And over this past year, so much has happened politically, centered around COVID and not COVID.
Mhm.
And so many people were inspired to record over this whole pandemic that we were able to kind of keep production going on a lot of things. But of course, the live stuff slowed down, and I was playing on the road a lot with Tim Flannery and Berkeley Hart and doing
Mhm.
solo stuff, and things were building. And we just had a relationship startup with a small record label called Pacific Records that's based here in San Diego and Southern California. And so things slowly, kind of shut down in all those ways. And the last show we did was on March 7th, which was my 50th birthday.
Oh
And it
wow.
was our last show. And it was beautiful. It was really fun with Tim Flannery and his band. And my brother was there. And, it just was a great show. And then we were done. We were gone. We were gone. And
Mhm.
I haven't really seen those folks much for a year, but we're starting to book shows again now. But that's what I was doing. I was playing lots of shows with a few different bands and writing lots of songs and recording lots of records, and most of that shut down.
Yeah, yeah, I know about that. Yeah, and I'm so glad that you didn't have to miss your birthday. That's a huge milestone to have
Oh
to miss.
man, I really lucked out. Actually, I um there was this huge party planned that was amazing, and it was canceled due to COVID, and people had like learned my songs and were going to do this. They're going to shut down a
Oh,
bar and do this huge, amazing party, which I was overjoyed about, but also just, those kinds of situations are, nobody necessarily likes to be the one whose birthday it is. And it's just crazy to be on the spot like that sometimes, even as
you don't like
performers.
being
It's
in the
weird.
spotlight?
I You would not believe it, but I kind of don't. And so not in that way, but at the same time, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's one of those things, like when you're at a restaurant and they all come sing the birthday song
Oh,
to
yeah.
you. It's a
Mhm.
little bit like humiliating and embarrassing at the same time that it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that got canceled. But the fact that people were going to even do that is amazing to me. And the last two nights of our tour were the 6th and the 7th. My birthday was on the 7th.
Mhm.
And at a certain point, somebody mentioned from the stage that it was my birthday, or in the audience. And both nights, the audience actually, sorry, there's a little bug. Both nights, the audience like kind of just simultaneously saying happy birthday to me.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was crying, it was so
Yeah.
sweet and wonderful. And I can't imagine uh, and everybody in the band and Kibria and all my friends in that world were just there, and we all had a blast. And they
Mhm.
tied little bottles of Jameson to black balloons, and it was really, really crazy fun. And the audience got into it. People brought me cupcakes and weed because I have a bit of a reputation, turns out, for Jameson and marijuana. But so I have a stock. I have plenty of stock of those things. People are so sweet. And bobbleheads. People bring me bobbleheads, whiskey, and weed.
Nice.
I have a great life.
So now you've got,
But
like, a bunker
it
full of it.
was but that was actually an amazing way to have a last couple shows for me
Mhm.
personally.
Mhm.
Um, but
Yeah. So you were able to, once things kind of really hit, you were able to keep working, keep
yeah.
recording, but then things really, really slowed down for you. And so when you had this involuntary slowdown, What did you do? What did you get into? How did you spend the time?
Well, I spent the first couple weeks kind of a wreck,
Yeah.
uh, in all sorts of ways, and just sort of tried to transition, but mostly just hung out around the house. And like everybody else, we binged watched uh, all sorts of crazy stuff. And I
Mhm.
really love this show called The West Wing. I
Oh,
know that
yeah.
sounds really funny, but this guy named Aaron Sorkin is a great writer, and he wrote this show, and I love it. And it's like 7 seasons of 23 episodes a season, and so I watched that a lot and played my guitar and hung out. And I started to look around my house and realize I had the gear around my house to do a live stream. I didn't really know what that meant. I was at that time, I was just thought I would just do Facebook Live with my phone, which I started to think about, but I'm a recording guy.
Yeah.
I'm a producer of music. And so I had microphones and cables and audio interface. And my brother James helped me figure out how to use my iPhone as a webcam. And uh, I slowly started figuring it out. And after about 8 weeks, I had worked it into this thing where I had a smoke machine and a bubble machine and a green screen, and our whole living room had to be transformed once a week. And so I kind of reached out to a few people to see if they had space where I could do my live stream. And I talked to my friends, Jason and Veronica. That's where I am right now. And Jason's a friend of mine from high school. And he's a video guy and a great photographer and knows about lighting and all that. And so they invited me to come here. At first, we were doing it in the garage, and then when
Mhm.
it got warm, we went outside. But I needed personally a place to go to play songs. I don't know why. I guess we're all, as artists, we're just needy and we have to be in front of people or whatever it is. But it's just something I've done my whole life. It's just
Mhm.
it's something I have to do. I don't and so anyway, I started to go a little bit wacko. It just there was something. It was like losing a limb, not playing live. It just somehow that interaction with other people and not just the audience, but the people that I play with and stuff. It was missing and lacking in a huge hole.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
somehow the live stream took the place of that for me for a while. And I looking into the camera became easier and easier, and being able to connect with people personally that way was life saving for me. It just pulled me out of a really dark place. All of us have had those moments this past year of darkness, which is all
Yeah.
part of life. But the that's one of the things that helped me uh, kind of be okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, something that
And
kinda kept you going. I understand. I mean, that's kind of how this whole series was born, It's just that need to stay connected and have a creative outlet. I definitely feel you on that. I wanna ask you more about the live streams, but I wanna give a shout out to everybody in the comments. Whitney Shea, she says, "Hey,
hey,
you 2, love you both. We love you, Whitney, and congratulations on a great performance singing the national anthem at the Padres
that's
game."
what I heard. She sang it. That's so great. I can't wait. I'm going to try and watch the replay later. I hope she's on it. I want to check it out. I bet
She
she
was
killed it.
wonderful.
She did. Did you see it?
Yes,
Oh,
she
well,
was
I'm sure there's no doubt in my mind that she just slayed it.
yes, she did. We
Cool.
got Z out here, Jake Nager, hey, he says,
Hey,
"Hey,
Jake.
Jeff."
That's so great. Did you say who else? V?
Um, Z,
Z. Oh,
I
what's
think
going
that's
on? I
how,
knew it was
you
one of
pronounce
those
his name.
letters.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
one of
everybody.
these days he's gonna correct me on the pronunciation of his name. I hope he does.
Good. Yeah.
And yeah, we got Lauren Martin out there, Lauren Lee Martin.
Hey.
She says she loves her some Jeffy and can't wait to hear
Oh.
his duets album.
It's just about to we just came back from mastering version 1, came back from mastering yesterday, so I have to
Mhm.
listen to it and do a few tweaks, but I'm pretty excited. It's pretty good. She sang Isn't It a Pity,
Mm.
that amazing George Harrison song on this record. This is a good segue. She brought up a good thing. I'm going to be putting out this record. It's called Under the Covers,
Mhm.
and it's me and friends doing duets of cover songs that I've
I love
loved
it.
and
Oh my god, I love it,
influenced
the
me.
title. That's great.
Yeah, Under the Covers, right? It's kind of crazy, but Lauren Martin and I sang "Isn't It a Pity," which is this incredible uh, George Harrison song, and it's just one that really influenced me over the years. And she just brought her energy to it, and so passionate. Her performance is so passionate.
Yeah.
But it's a great record. Rebecca Jade, Astra Kelly, Catherine Beeks, Sean Rolfe, and Kibria Sarkeesian. It's just full of great fun duets of really Allegra Duchesne. We did Private Idaho by the B-52s.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really fun record. Me and Astra Kelly did Stop Dragging My Heart Around, which is,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
sure you know, Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks. And
Yeah.
Rebecca Jade and I did Heroes, the David Bowie song Heroes.
Mm.
And Veronica May and I did Under Pressure,
Oh my
and she
gosh.
sang Freddie Mercury's part.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
I mean, anyway, so next time we on volume 2, me and you have to do something together,
sure,
because
yeah.
it'll be awesome. But that comes out on Pacific Records later this year, and I've got a single and video coming out with them as well, of sort of a minor key version of This Land Is Your Land that I
Okay.
did. And it's just sort of with the video and the song, it's kind of this mirror, this land, this is who we are.
Mhm.
For better or for worse, here's where we are, and we need to fix some things, but we're all in it together, kind of a thing. And I don't know, I hope it lands right, but it's just something that happened one afternoon at the
Yeah.
studio, and we ended up doing something with it, so that's cool. I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to that coming out and sharing it with folks.
Very cool. I can't wait to hear it. Those are some super solid lineups you've got going on there.
Oh, it's just really, really an amazing record. Plus, the Back to the Garden band provided a lot of the music on it, and
Oh, yeah.
plus other amazing. It's just a huge list of incredible performers. I'm really, really lucky.
Yeah, yeah. San Diego is a great town. We're kind of spoiled with the talent that's hanging out around here. It's
For
kind of
sure.
like to me, I think it's kind of a little bit of a hidden gem because I don't think our city gets recognized as much as it should for the great music that comes out of it.
Well, it's true. There's an amazing history of bands coming out of here, going way, way back to like Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and Tom Waits is from here, and Jack Timshin, who wrote Peaceful Easy Feeling, you know, and George Harrison would hang down here. Ravi Shankar was from around here. Even Al Di Meola, all these incredible jazz people. Nickel Creek, the bluegrass band.
Mhm.
I mean, the Bangles and Rat have ties here. There's all the way up to Jewel and Jason Mraz and Steve Poltz and some of the other folks that have become kind of big stars out of here. It's an amazing town, and I think if there wasn't an amazing beach and mountains and all these other things to do in San Diego, that it would probably be a little bit more like Austin,
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
the music would help drive the economy a little bit. It's that strong, and you literally can go into most music venues in San Diego and find some pretty good act, doing
Yeah.
something great that you're going to enjoy. You're
Yeah.
right. It is a hidden gem. I wish they would unhide it a little bit.
Right.
Whoever they are.
Yeah, well, we'll see, we'll see how the next couple of years go and how things change,
Hmm.
who knows what the landscape's gonna look like at this point, but
Everything's been changing, man. Just the whole music business the past 20 years, how music is sold and distributed, all that stuff. And then this pandemic changed it even more. And just trying to keep up with all that and change with the times and
mhm,
learn everything I can every minute, and just
yeah,
got to keep it all going.
yeah. It will, it'll be interesting to hear, like, how it changes how we listen to music, how we find it, how we, are consuming it, because I guess the way I view it is, up until now, we've in large part kind of been spoon-fed what we get to listen to from, radio and Sirius, and XM radio and, what we see on TV. And then it kind of becomes this, group influence because, we're together, we're at these events or we're hanging out or doing whatever with our families, listening to music. And that's how, I don't know, you kind of tend to bond with some songs, when you've had some community around it. But now with everything being really internet based, I'm really interested to see, like, because we're all kind of like on our own to find what we want to listen to.
Yeah, which is kind of good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great to have some way to sort of be able to. I mean, there's lots of ways to browse and look for things actually that already exist. I don't, but it's both good and bad that we're kind of on our own. I think it's great that corporate radio isn't in charge anymore. That
Mhm.
was a negative thing because all of a sudden, in the 70s, they had great FM stations and you would hear Bob Dylan and then you would hear, Led Zeppelin and then you would hear Bob Marley and then you would hear, Thelonious Monk or whatever the stoned out FM DJ wanted to play for you that day. And it didn't matter what the genre was, and there weren't consultants and there weren't, it
Mhm.
didn't have to be an alternative station. There weren't charts like that,
Yeah.
and as soon as they started to create these different categories and different places to find that, it started creating cliques and schools, and
Mhm.
you know, it was you couldn't like different kinds of music all of a sudden. My generation, it was like that a lot,
Yeah.
and I always kind of liked all sorts of different stuff. But I'm a musician, and we listen to music for all sorts of different reasons. You know that,
Yeah.
but I think now there is this openness,
Yeah.
and you really can, again, sort of find and listen to whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what? I like a couple songs by Rush. Screw you. It's cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, okay, Rush is cool. I don't really like them at all, but you know, I'm glad you like them, and that's cool. And it's not like it was like in the 80s where people would get, I don't know why I chose Rush, but they just seem to be a lot of controversy around those
There's
guys.
not a lot of shame around Rush. I'm not
No,
sure.
well, they're a great band, but there's some people who just can't freaking stand that sound,
Yeah.
and there's others that love it, and I don't know. Anyway, I there are some of their songs that I really like a lot, but
Uh-huh.
I guess my point is that we're in this place now where you really can discover anything you want, but you have to go out and look for it. There's nobody going now come down to Licorice Pizza, or wow, that just shows. I just told you I'm 100 years old, but it's not so much driven by corporations trying to sell stuff. It's
Mhm.
not in the same way anyways. And I do feel like now there's definitely a little bit more of a level playing field, but there's a lot more to wade through and find.
Yeah.
And so it's good. It's positive and it's negative, but we just have to figure out how to navigate and how to make things work for who you are specifically. You don't necessarily have to fit into a mold anymore. You can find your own thing,
Mhm.
find out what works, and then figure out a way to get that to people who want to hear it or see it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I totally agree with you, and I love that. I love how you're kind of framing that, um, because I think it really is encouraging, for artists to come out and, find their own place and kind of there's so much uncharted territory with the way things are,
Yeah.
things are being distributed and
Yeah.
put out there that, I think there's going to be a lot of creative ways that people come up with, to get their music heard. And that's encouraging to,
It's the wild, wild west.
Mhm.
Really, anything can happen. If you come up with the idea that changes the world, then I think that idea, the next, the next thing for music distribution has still not been found. I think we're still settling. I think it's still the wild west, and nobody knows exactly how it's going to all land. And maybe it never will land. Maybe it'll just keep constantly changing. And that has been the nature of the music business anyways.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't see why that would change. It's
Yeah.
probably going to just keep morphing into whatever the next thing is, driven by young people who have different ways of looking at stuff and figure out new groundbreaking ideas that make it easier for all of us.
Right, right. So true. Yeah. And I think I am a good example of what you're talking about too, because prior to all of this happening, of course, I work in a corporate cover band, right? So constantly I'm learning covers and
Hmm.
the covers that the people want to hear. And so whether or not it's, what I like, it's what I have to learn to make a living. And so I didn't really get much of an opportunity to listen just for, pleasure and my own enjoyment to stuff. It was usually an assignment. And so I'd really lost touch with what I knew what Spotify was and I knew what Pandora was, but I wasn't using them or listening
Hmm.
to them. I was just using what I needed to learn. But when all of this hit, um, I got into Spotify, and I know there's a lot of controversy around that, but one good thing that came out of it, for me was, finding playlists and finding a couple songs that I really liked and artists. And then, once the algorithm catches on and they kind of get a feel for what your vibe is and what you like,
Hmm.
all of these new artists that I've never heard of are popping up. And I'm like, oh my God, people are making real music out there still. This is
Yeah.
incredible. And
Yeah.
I have loved that.
Yeah. And that's what's good about Spotify and all those Pandora, those stations and their algorithm or logarithm or whatever. It's trippy that it has rhythm in the title
Yes.
to me. Anyway, um, that's the good part, is that it will show you stuff that you haven't heard before and you'll get turned on to that. And that's the whole name of the game. It used to be your friends would do that, and they still do kind of. I think as we get older, sometimes that kind of falls away and we end up just finding new music on our own or on the radio or seeing somebody on, Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. That still happens sometimes to me too.
Mhm.
But Spotify and Pandora have been a great source of finding new things for me and a lot of people.
Mhm.
And we've done pretty well on Spotify. One of the bands, my high school, just out of high school band called The Cry, had this incredible resurgence on Spotify. It's still kind of going on,
Oh,
and
yeah.
those guys, we kind of got back together and started making new recordings and put them out again. But we had some stuff come out like in 1991 or 1990, and it ended up being in this skate movie that came out like 8 years ago and toured the world. And we had put the stuff up on Spotify as on a whim, and people
Yeah.
found it, and it's just blown up, and it's got millions and millions of downloads or
Wow.
streams. I mean, and like we all get checks and stuff from that. And the guys in that band, aside from me, hadn't been in the music business. They'd been doing hardwood floors since that
Nice.
band back in the early 90s, and all of a sudden it exploded. So I have no complaints about Spotify for folks at our level. It's just another way to get the music out there, and the music's just sitting there and anybody can listen to it that finds it. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're not, there is money to be made in this business still, I think, but
Mhm.
not like it used to be.
Yeah.
So really, you just want to get the music out there and hope something comes of it,
Yeah,
in those ways. And
absolutely.
Spotify helps with that
Sure.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, you mentioned Jason Mraz a few minutes ago, and can you talk about the project that you
Yeah.
worked on with him? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the second record that I've engineered for him. And my studio is up there on his ranch. He has this beautiful studio building that he built, and then me and a buddy moved some gear in there and we turned it into a studio.
Nice.
And it's right in the middle of his avocado orchard. And so we've made his last couple of records there, plus a bunch of records that I've made for San Diego artists and beyond up
Mhm.
there. Since I moved in, it's going on the 4th year now. And he's, Jason's heavily influenced by reggae. You can hear it in his albums all through his career. You can just hear that. And so he decided to make a couple reggae records, and this one, he brought in amazing reggae musicians from all over the world, and an amazing reggae producer named Michael Goldwasser, who's from the East Coast. And we all just got together in this building there at the studio and set up very safely and socially distant. And basically everybody played at once. And we got this incredible reggae record. You guys are going to just love it. I don't know when it'll be out. We're still kind of recording on it, but it should be wrapped up in the next few weeks as far as tracking, and then it has to be mixed and mastered and put out. So probably later on sometime, but it's just like you said, there are still people out there doing real music, and this was just a bunch of musicians playing together at the same time, just putting it down. And Jason was right there doing vocals and putting all the passion into the vocals so that the players had that in their headphones, and every take was just right there. And we just had a really, really fun time, and the music will reflect that too. I think you guys are going to be really happy when you hear it.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. Great. I was curious to know how do artists that come to you to produce for them, how do they find you? Is it typically you've been referred by someone, or it's someone that you've known for a long time, or do you ever have new artists approach you to do work for them?
Oh yeah, all the time. It happens in all sorts of different ways. People will see me play, and then hear that somehow that I do production and approach me for that. But usually it's just a word of mouth thing. I have websites, jeffberkley.com, if you want to look, but it's really just word of mouth, and people just give me a call or email or find me on Facebook or one of the, Instagram, and just hit me up and say, hey, I've got these songs. What do you think about recording them? And then I say, sure. I'd love to. That's really it. Thank God. I'd be no good at trying to. It's so cool that we don't have to do like what furniture stores in the 50s had to do and stuff, Wow. Come on down and make your record at Jeff's House of Records or something, whatever. I would be maybe I'd be good at that. Actually, now that I say it out loud, I sounded kind of good doing that. I think I missed my calling. Yeah, I did. I a little scared myself a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? That makes me think of something. I had wanted to circle back to the live streaming, but you're talking about your personality a little bit, and not really wanting to be very salesy in your approach with how you produce people. And I just wanted to say that, my experience with you and, getting to experience your performances, when I watch you, so much about you is your personality and your vibe. And when you're on stage performing, your comfort level is everyone feels it. I think you come on stage and that comfort level surrounds everyone. It's as if you were a fixture on the stage to begin with. And I love that. I mean, I think that just, to me, I think you're an incredible performer. I love every performance that I've seen you do. And I see that come out in the live streams too. And how did that go for you? Do you think, I mean, are you really enjoying them, or do you need that live interaction? Will you continue doing them?
The live streams, I love doing them.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun. And we're going to continue to do something. We have this rig that we set up. First of all, thank you for saying that. It's so, it's hard to see ourselves, right? Like it's hard necessarily to know what's cool about ourselves as performers. We're just up there doing our thing. But I am pretty comfortable on stage. And I think at a certain point, I decided that I was okay with, making a fool out of myself accidentally on stage, as long as I was just trying to be myself
Mm-hmm.
and talk to the audience and let them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one thing I have going for me. And so and my songs are so about my personal feelings and stuff that I have to be that way with the audience. But man, I used to be terrified when I
Oh,
was
really?
young, first starting out. Yeah. I mean, terrified. Like I don't know how I got past that, but eventually probably it was playing with my dad as a young man. My dad was a preacher and did the worship service at church, and it was kind of a progressive church, so they had kind of a rock band,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the drummer,
Nice.
and that was actually really good training, because those were like, my dad's churches were like speaking in tongues churches kind of thing,
Yeah.
and it would be like hour and a half long music worship services. Like it would be like a Grateful Dead show, where people are out there in the audience tripping out and the band is just jamming. But you learn how to work with the audience and follow and lead them on this thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it was probably that weekly Sunday thing that I did for, I don't know, a long, long time, maybe 5 or 6, 10 years
Mm-hmm.
of growing up, that probably helped me get over that stage fright thing. Because once you mess up 3 or 4 times in front of an audience, no problem.
Whatever.
It's learning. Yeah, it's learning to be comfortable with
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
and realizing it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's also very motivating to not mess up again.
Yes, it is.
But that's, I don't remember exactly how I got over it, but I do feel pretty comfortable up there, and I do try to. Singer-songwriters get, when you just are up there by yourself with a guitar, you learn how to make yourself quiet
Mm.
and say things and put out warmth and comfort and draw people in those ways. At first you get up there and you're like, hey, everybody, listen to me, come on. But then you realize if you stop that and just let your thing come out, that slowly but surely you win those people over. And there are some bars where people are going to murmur no matter what, but they quiet down to a quiet murmur. And very often now I'll come out, the louder the room, the quieter the opening song that I do. Because I realize that you don't want to go out there and just set this precedence of volume as a singer-songwriter. You want to draw them in from the very first note and rip their hearts out and stomp on them right then.
Yes.
They'll make them laugh later. But so I've learned that thing that you're talking about, to go up there and set a vibe. Let them see who you are right away, if you can.
Yeah. Oh,
It's not always easy.
you really do. And yeah, you know what? I think that's one of the things too that I notice. You take your time. You take your time, and I think a lot of, well, I'm really generalizing this, but you see it fairly often. Singer-songwriters go up, and there is a certain pace they get into, and which can be, I think, maybe a nerves-induced pace. And that's, your audience feels that and everything. But yeah, that's really something to me that stands out about you, is that just that comfort level, and you really creating an experience for everybody in the audience. And I think you've pulled it off great on the live streams too. I mean, your live streams are the perfect thing to, like, get cozy in the living room, or, sit
Yeah.
on the back porch and watch it with everybody. They've been
Oh,
great.
thanks. That was the trick of it, is just there was really no trick to it. I wanted to just be able to figure out a way to connect with an audience through a camera. I'd never done that before. So I set out with that goal, and thanks for saying that. I hope I succeeded at that. People seem to be really enjoyed it, and the messages I would get were beautiful. And so I think it meant a lot to people, and I'm so thankful for that, because it sure meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Hey, before I forget to mention this, we had talked about you have a live show coming up on May 1st. What is
I
happening
do.
there?
Well, I like to play around town when I'm not on the road or in the studio. I have a band that I put together of some of my favorite players, and we just learned a bunch of my songs. And I reached out to this venue called the Grand Ole Barbecue because I really love it. It's an
Hmm.
amazing outdoor venue that reminds me of Austin, which is one of my most favorite places to play. But it's just an outdoor venue with a great bar and some great food, and our music really works there. And so we're playing there on May 1st at 1 o'clock, and they have a afternoon set and an evening set. I'm not even sure who's on after us. Last time it was Joey and the Mentals, Joey Harris's band, but I don't know who it is this time, but it'll be someone amazing. So come on up there at 1 o'clock at the Grand Ole Barbecue on May 1st.
Yeah. Where is that located?
It's kind of up towards Alpine, right off Interstate 8
Uh-huh.
in the East County, California,
Okay.
Tucky.
That sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah, I think you might. Yeah, have you never been there? Oh
No,
my God, you
I hadn't
guys,
even heard of it.
it's really, really cool place, and it's a fun venue. You should come check it out. Come out
Great,
on May 1st at 1 o'clock. We'll sing a
great
song or
idea.
something.
Great idea. I might just
Duh.
do that. Yeah. I want to also ask you, speaking of bands, um, let's talk about your duo, Berkeley Hart. I had read that you guys had celebrated a 20-year anniversary working together. Am I saying that right? A year or
Yes.
two ago?
It's been 23 now.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
how did the two of you meet and connect musically, and
Yeah.
what's the journey
You know
been
what?
like there?
We met at Java Joe's
Mhm.
when he was in Poway. That's like right at the time when Jewel was a waitress and all that was happening up there. And we used to do these things called the One Shot Showcase,
Mhm.
and it would be like 25 singer songwriters on like a Tuesday night or something, right? Everybody would do one song each. And I was playing percussion back then mostly. I wrote songs and played gigs, but I wasn't really showing them to people that much.
Okay.
And I would stand on stage with my djembe and I'd play with everybody, and they would come up, and it's how I got to know everybody in the scene and get to know their music. And Kalman was there one of those nights, and he did this song, and he didn't need drums on it, which was not that was kind of rare at the time. Everybody would love to have percussion on it, and so I sat down and listened to his song, and he did this song called Barrel of Rain that we still do in Berkeley Hart, and I was like, I want to be in a band with that guy. So
Mm. Mhm.
we started hanging out, and we started a band with a couple other people, and they sort of fell away, and we decided to make it a duo, and we never looked back. We made this our first record, Reckon So, and it got a lot of attention, and we won 5 San Diego Music Awards that year, and it was just a really great entrance into what became Berkeley Hart. And we made 11 albums, and we've toured England twice and Australia and all over America, and it's just been an amazing ride. And we still have a blast, and we're still working on songs and got stuff coming out later on in the fall. We'll probably have a new record coming out on Pacific
Mhm.
Records.
Yeah, excellent. And are you finding that you're getting a lot of inquiries for live gigs now, or is that still quiet for you, or
It's just now starting to speed back up in the folk world, which is where Berkeley Hart is.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is starting to kind of happen again. We've got one road trip in California with 3 shows coming up, and then later in the year we're going to be touring out to the Midwest and back. So things are slowly starting to pick back up again, and hopefully it'll stay that way.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to
How
see you
about
play.
you? You got stuff starting to happen now too?
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. All of a sudden, things just kind of got busy this week. I have 6 gigs this week, and which is
Whoa.
totally just unheard of, within the
Well,
year.
that's so
But
great though.
yeah,
Congratulations.
I was super excited about it, and I'll get to be with the full band on Saturday, so definitely looking forward to that. But I don't know, I
Wow.
think it's kind of lit my fire a little bit again, and
Sure.
I'm feeling that excitement that things are going to start coming back around. But like you mentioned though before, I don't want it to be premature. I
Right.
I don't want
Totally.
to get so excited that we start acting like fools and ruin what progress we've made already. So, definitely still keeping it way, way safe and being very selective with, what the deal is. But these gigs that I'm involved in are all, safe and fun.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear you're getting back out there though. That's the best.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hearing it from a lot of people too.
Yeah,
So
it's slowly starting to happen.
yeah, it's really encouraging. Yeah. Um, Before I let you go, I want to ask a question that I've asked a couple of people on here, and I have this feeling that you're going to have a great answer, but no pressure. Um, my first interview was with Rebecca Jade. She's a dear friend, and she said something at the beginning that has stuck with me, this entire year. And she had said, wouldn't it be a shame if we all came out on the other side of this unchanged, or things
Right.
weren't different? Um, can you think of how maybe you have changed permanently or shifted your mindset entirely about something, or what has this pandemic moved for you?
Well, aside from a bunch of personal stuff that just, I think the pandemic forced us to kind of reevaluate a lot of things personally and just things you didn't have time to figure out about yourself. You started to figure out, or maybe did figure out. So aside from those things, which could take hours and hours of me talking about, I think just learning how to be still
Mhm,
was, I mean, it was just huge for me. I don't know how to do that. I'm really, really bad at that.
mhm,
And so I just had to get better at that, and learning how to pay attention to, start taking better good care of myself too, just that kind of thing. I think that happened for a lot of people.
mhm,
Um, so the pandemic forced us to kind of figure that stuff out. And so that happened a lot for me. Um, it gave me time to work on my songs more. I haven't been able to work on songwriting because my, you know, your bandwidth, your artistic bandwidth gets used up sometimes when you're recording records for people. And by the time you get home, like sitting down and watching a dumb TV show or something seems like really, really fun rather than like going out for music. So, being able to slow down in those ways and pay a little more attention to my own art was really, really fun. But I sure do miss playing more. And
mhm.
I'm really glad to be making records for people. It's saved my life.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that wavelength too. I think I am like you, very uncomfortable with silence or having to be still and
Right.
unproductive. It's just a space that I don't thrive well in. But this, for me, because I had to slow down so much, I think getting more present with my kids and spending so much more time catching up on all the things that I have missed being gone, working and just actually finding things that I just enjoy doing that are not work related or music related at all,
Right.
has been amazing. So when this week came up with all of these gigs, I'm extremely grateful for them. I'm really enjoying it. But it did occur to me though that when the schedule hit like that, it caused my kids anxiety and they were, upset with me leaving. And so I've been thinking a lot about it this week. Like how can we preserve? Yeah, how do you preserve that balance? How do you maintain that without just kind of totally getting sucked into the pace again?
Yeah, those boundaries are important, and I completely overlooked them my whole life, and
Mhm.
I learned this year that it's okay to set those boundaries, and that fear of missing out thing, that's real.
Yes.
And we all hasn't it been nice to not have that feeling this whole year that everybody else is out there gigging, but you're not?
Yeah. Mhm.
That's been the best. I
Yes.
hate that feeling, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and not have that feeling anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and be stoked that people are out there gigging and I'm home. I'm not, you know, I love gigging, and I will love every second of every gig I ever play.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, there has to be balance. There has to be balance. And it's not all about gigging and the next gig and the next record and all that. And that's been a huge thing for me. That's part of taking better care of myself, but not only that, just taking better care of the people that I love, you know.
Mhm.
And like you said, it causes them anxiety too when we've got 8 shows in 7 days, you know. It's
Right.
not as much as I thrive on that. I love the feeling of racing from the airport to the sound check
Yes.
barely in time. I love it. I love it. I'm
Yep.
addicted to that. But
Mhm.
the people in our lives aren't addicted to that. So you have to figure out ways of being able to do both. And so I know how you feel. It's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. We're in an awkward space right now, and I think maybe
So weird.
that's gonna be the corner to turn, at this point is like, okay, so real life is kinda opening back up again, how am I gonna step into this as a changed person, maybe a better version of myself, and, what
Yeah.
boundaries am I gonna put up, and, what non-negotiables will I have, that just
It's a
didn't
unique
exist before.
opportunity.
What's that?
It's a unique opportunity to
Yes.
actually reset a little bit.
Mhm,
And that's kind of as I'm looking forward, I'm going to start. I just want to lean more into the things that bring me and the people around me joy. And
mhm.
some of that's going to be music and some of it's not. You know what I mean? But I think that's the thing that I've learned throughout this pandemic is to just pay attention to the right stuff. And I'm also at an age where that stuff starts to to occur to you. I think a little bit more. I don't know why, but the more time, the more room we get over our shoulders, you know, and the
Mhm.
more experience we get, kind of the more you start to see patterns emerge in your own existence, and you can kind of start to get rid of the bad patterns and lean into the ones that are good patterns. And I think that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm looking forward to in the future is evening out some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Maybe as a musical community, we all have to continuously remind each other of that, and support it, in the ways that we, when we're asking people to be on gigs or start projects, and maybe we'll have a new lens that we look through when somebody
Hmm.
says no, or we might accept and receive no a little bit more
For
graciously.
sure, for sure. I think just naturally that's going to happen,
Yeah.
and that it's not we're not going to have to think about it. You know, both
Yeah.
people like me learning how to say no, and then other people learning how to accept a no. I can't fit this record in this month because I'm doing 3 others right now, but if you can wait, you know, until 2 months from now, then you'll have all my attention. Like
Mhm.
up until now, I've just been saying yes, 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 yes to everything, and maybe I can figure out a way to change it so that everybody is getting more attention, you know, and
Mhm.
getting what they need, including me. So I'm looking forward to all that stuff, and I can't wait to keep. I can't wait till the next record. You know what I mean? I just have a blast doing it, and it's so much fun to help artists figure out where they're headed and make it happen. So
Yeah.
the future is
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah. Well, you're putting great work into the world. So I'm
Oh,
excited
thank
for
you.
everything that you continue to do. I think it's time for Back to the Garden to do another show and invite us
Sure.
to be on it again, because
Yeah,
it's a magical experience with them every
it is.
time.
That
It
band, it's almost unreal.
Yeah,
Like I swear you can't believe how good they are because
yeah,
it's not just technically, they've got so much soul, you know.
so much.
Every player in that band just has so much soul.
Mhm.
And I just I really love it, and I can't wait
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great experience. In the meantime, let's all meet up May 1st for your gig.
that's
Tell
right.
me tell me the location again.
It's called the Grand Old Barbecue, and it's just up off Highway 8 up towards Alpine, and it's a
Okay.
big outdoor venue with great food, and you can bring kids. It's all ages. They've got like this really big grass area where kids hang out and play and stuff. And just call up there if you want to know the address. I don't know it off the top of my head, but that's
Mhm.
May 1st at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mhm.
And I just call it Jeff Berkley and his band. But we're probably going to come up with a better name. I just don't know what it
Okay.
is. Maybe that's what this whole gig could be about, is people can write down on denominations of cash
Yes,
your
$100 bills.
favorite name that you'd like to, and we'll just choose the one that's on the biggest bill,
Yeah.
because we're just for sale. How about Jeff Berkley and the Qualcomm Band?
Yeah.
We could sell naming rights for like $1 million or so, and we'll call the band Jeff Berkley and the Petco Band.
Yes.
I think that would work really, really well. Jeff Berkley and Jack in the Box Band.
Yeah.
All of it. It's all ready to go. Just your name here.
I love
Also,
it.
go to Spotify and Pandora and my record. I have a solo album called Whorehouse, Hot Sauce, and Souvenirs.
Love it.
And I'd love for you guys to go check it out. It's a really fun record. All the Berkeley Hart records are up there too. And berkeleyhart.com, jeffberkley.com. Come out to the show. We need you.
Yeah. Great. I put your social links in the comments so everybody can check those out.
Oh, great.
Um, I love you. I loved our conversation tonight, and I just truly appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's wonderful to see you, and I know I'll
Oh,
feel very happy for the rest of the night having had this
oh, I feel the same
conversation.
way. And I love you too. And thank you so much for having me, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you so much. And definitely shout out to everybody who joined us tonight that I didn't get to mention yet. Sarah Dodson. Hey, Sarah. And Tim Moore, Wayne Riker. He says,
Oh,
"Hey,
cool.
Jeff, when's our next limo ride?"
Oh my God. I remember that night. Kinda. That was what Catherine Beeks used to put on. I don't even remember what it was called, but basically she had a limo company, and it was one of those big like SUV limos,
Mm-hmm.
and they drove us around from bar to bar on El Cajon Boulevard.
Nice.
Like the 10th stop in. I don't know what my name is or anything, but it was really fun. And hi, Wayne. I do remember that you were there early in the evening. I remember some things,
Yeah.
and then things get a little foggy, if
Yes.
you know what I'm saying.
I'm sure it was a nice, wholesome night for you guys.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Hey, oh, and Chuck Phillips too. Love you, Chuck. Thanks
Oh,
for joining us again. And thanks to everybody else who's listening and is listening to the playback. I'll be back here next Wednesday, same time, with our esteemed colleague Larry Grano.
oh man, that'll be great. You guys are
Yeah.
gonna love it.
Yep, I'm excited to talk to him.
He's
I'm gonna
so
let
fun.
you get back to your evening,
Oh,
and I hope to see you again really, really soon. And in the meantime, I'm gonna try to get to your show, and I'm gonna be listening to all your new stuff that comes out.
well, thank you very much for having me, and I can't wait to see you.
Yeah. All right. Good night. Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.